How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Before we get into today's special guest, make sure you go down, hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. Also, go check out our Instagram where we post highlight reels of all of our videos. But I'm super excited for today's special guest because he is a stay-at-home dad, work-from-home dad, also a college graduate, and former rapper. Please welcome Cesar Bravo. How's it going, man?
What's going on, man? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Show. How you doing?
So, I'm pretty good, man. I'm not going to lie. A little uncomfortable with the frigidness outside. But other than that, like once you're indoors, in a car, you're warming up, like you're fine for the most part. But I did want to say, like, first and foremost, that I feel like I might want to make you guys work for this podcast, like editing wise. So I think I'm probably going to end up saying a couple of things a lot. I'm probably going to say, in my opinion, a lot. I'm probably going to say shout out. Right?
Okay.
I'm going to shout someone out a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
So like each time I shout somebody out, like if you guys could like add a tally mark to the screen, like 1, 2, and by the end, I'll hopefully like I won't be over like 15 shout outs or something.
Okay.
But I'm probably going to end up doing those.
Yeah, that's fine because that's his episode today. So
Yeah, you're cool.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah, but if you listen to the last couple ones, I have an issue with saying like all the time. So I do try to work on it really hard, but sometimes it just rolls off the tongue. And the next thing you know, I'm editing the reels, and I'm like, dude, in the time span of like a minute, see just right now, in the time span of a minute, I've said like maybe 15 times. Yeah. So it's rough.
It became very apparent in like our third episode when Gabby called us out. She was listening to our episode and she's like, you guys said like 100 times.
Yeah.
And then the next episode we were just kind of quiet trying not to say like.
The whole episode was a lot less talking. And the thing is, like, if you don't notice that you're saying it, like somebody in the comments or somebody watching or listening
say it. Yeah.
Call you out.
But it's a good thing I caught it when I was editing it, but it can be tough to listen to. Especially when I first started editing it, all of this, it was really hard to listen to my own voice again. Yeah. It's like, dude, that sounds so bad. What am I doing?
Yeah. So getting into it, do you want to like give a really small introduction to yourself? That kind of goes off of what I did. Mine wasn't too great, but
no, yours was yours. I mean, you kind of hit it on the nail on the head there. So basically, right now, I'm I'll start with my job. What I do as a profession, I'm a health coach for Elevance Health, and formerly known as Anthem, and I work at home. So I really love that aspect from it. As Jose said, I'm actually a father. I want to say new father, but it's been like 2 years now. My son will be 2 years in April. And on top of that, also a husband. I got married back in 2019. But on top of that, my wife and I are expecting. So we're having our second child. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. We're having our second child in January, at the end of January.
Oh, that's soon.
Yeah, so we'll have my baby boy, and then we'll have a daughter.
Okay.
So we're expecting a girl as well. Super excited about that, just to add to the family. But other than that, I mean, I went to IUPUI. It took me about 5 years to graduate. Graduated from Bachelor's in Exercise Science, Kinesiology. And then before that, I went to Lafayette Jeff.
Let's go.
Once
a
a
Bronco,
Bronco.
always a Bronco. Let's go.
Yeah, the Lafayette Broncos. So graduated from there. Came from Lafayette. That's where I went to high school at. And I was born and raised in California. So shout out to the West Coast, Yuba City to be exact. But yeah, I mean that's about it in a nutshell. Kind of like about me and what I'm about.
It's crazy because we have like a lot of similarities. We all went to Jeff, all grew up in Lafayette. We all moved here to Indy. We all go, or at some point are going to IUPUI.
Yeah.
And then Pablo was actually born in California too.
Yeah. I was born in Santa Ana. And I think I was only like a couple months old when my parents moved over to Lafayette. So I don't have any recollection of living over there. But
you still get to claim it.
Yeah, exactly. No, my birth certificate's right there, so I get to claim it. Yeah.
And we've had another guest, Lupe. I'm gonna say shout out a lot too. I say it a lot. Shout out Lupe. She also worked from home, and she talked to me about like the spaces in her house, and like one room that she has where she like actually works is like her like almost in a way clocking in and going to work. Do you kind of have like something similar too?
Yeah, I do. I remember part of I was watching a clip of that a little bit talking about it, and I definitely felt the same. I have an office, right? So I have to have like an enclosed space with doors and whatnot. But like I'm usually only in there if I'm working. And the thing is, that kind of takes me into one of the things I wanted to talk about because I heard you talking about like desk setups, and I think you said something about a standing desk. Like I have a sweet setup. Like I have a standing desk. The
Oh,
transition, yeah.
nice.
I think it's like the brand is autonomous chair, autonomous desk, and then I have like a really fancy seat cushion, and I'm getting like a hammock for my feet. Like I got it
Oh,
like all
right,
decked out.
man.
Yeah, I got it all decked out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually super proud of it. And the thing is, like, I spend 40 hours a week there, so I feel like it has to be
Right.
comfortable. It has to be ergonomic.
Yeah.
Like, so space heater, like humidifier, like the whole 9 yards. Like I kind of feel like a diva saying all those things, but
Well, because at the end of the day, if you have like in a way the luxury of living at home and you're in a sense at work, so why not just make work as comfortable as possible?
exactly, yeah. That's pretty much what I've done. Like walking in my office, you could tell. The other thing I have in there is I just maybe like 6 months ago I got a treadmill. So like my plan is to make the setup towards where I can take my work laptop to my treadmill and just walk. I wouldn't be walking all day, but it
Right.
maybe 20-30 minutes take a break,
Yeah.
like from sitting.
I've seen setups on like Instagram that'll roll up, and it's like this small little treadmill, and the desk is up, and they're just walking and working. It's like a very steady walk, but they're
Yeah.
getting some exercise in while they're working. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's cool.
Yeah, like you don't, they say sitting's the new smoking. So it's like as much as you can to get up, like take that opportunity.
Yeah, I sit a lot now that we've done all the podcasts and everything, and I edit for like my YouTube channel. I sit like maybe 4 6 hours a day, so I can't imagine like sitting for 40 hours a week. It's probably got to be like when you first started. Did you like begin to have back issues?
I don't. Maybe not as much. Like if anything, oddly enough, the most issues I had was with my backside, like my bottom, right? Trying to not say my butt,
Yeah.
but like just like in my chair. It's not that my chair is uncomfortable, but it's just like my body structure, like my butt on the chair, like it kind of just hurts.
Yeah.
And so I got this cushion, but like yeah, I think, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm standing all the time, I'm transitioning all the time, I'm on my treadmill, I'm working. Like I'm not doing all those things. I probably sit way too much still.
Right.
But the thing is, like when you give yourself those opportunities and you give yourself those chances, the more the better. The more chances you have, the better. The more opportunities you're probably most likely gonna take them, and to have that chance, I think, is super important.
Yeah, because if the treadmill's already in your room, like that's already a step ahead of what you were at before when it wasn't in your room. Because like you didn't have the opportunity to go and run or walk on the treadmill. The only thing you could do is sit there and maybe just walk around your room or like your office. I'm not sure how big the office is that let you like walk around and stuff.
Yeah, it's probably about the same size. Maybe just like slightly bigger than this room, but
Nice.
yeah, it's not like super huge, but it's big enough.
Do you do any stretching, as far as like, because I mean, if you're sitting down a lot, your hip flexors are probably a little tight, and just other areas of your body. Do you do stretching to try to counteract that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So like, not like throughout the day.
Yeah.
Although that would probably be ideal. Like the thing is, I'll get back to that. But the thing is, like, I think with using the standing desk or with walking on the treadmill, even if you just have a treadmill in general, it's all about consistency, right? It's all about
Right.
finding some kind of habit or routine that works for you.
Right.
And sometimes you might have that habit or routine that works, and then like 2 weeks later it's broken and you're not doing it anymore. Like maybe it was overkill, you did it too much or something. But like as far as like stretching, I do have like certain stretches that I'll go to,
Okay.
but I'm not like super consistent with them, and it's usually like beginning of the day or like end of the day. It's never really throughout the day.
Okay. Yeah, because I have a history of like back issues, and I went to the doctor a while back because I injured myself at work, and turns out I just have really tight calves and really tight hamstrings. so it's like pulling on my back and like it's weird. So I got prescribed a bunch of stretches, and I did them consistently for about a month, and my back has never felt better.
Really?
But once I started feeling good, I'm like, I'll wait till next time. I don't think I've stretched in about a month, and my back feels great, but I also haven't worked out in like 3 or 4 months. So I know once I start getting back into it, I have to take it easy, if not like stretch for a week or two leading up to working out, so I don't hurt myself again. But
I hear you.
Yeah, I find myself stretching a lot over in the living room floor, just because Pablo's kind of got me paranoid with like lower back issues, and that I've been sitting down a lot more. I like at night I would go over there when Gabby's just sitting on the couch. She'll just see me just sit there or lay down on the floor and just start stretching.
So you're doing it more so like in a preventative way, or you're doing it because you have discomfort or pain, or a little bit of both?
More in a preventative way.
Really? Wow.
I want to make sure I'm in a way ahead of it, because I'm the type of person that wants to prevent it before it even happens. Because once it starts happening, I'm like, dude, I could have just done this instead of like waiting for it to happen, and now I can't sit down for like an hour straight.
That's funny because we're brothers, and I'm the opposite. I'm the type of person that I'll just keep on going, and once it happens, I'm like, fuck, and then I'll do it. And once it's fixed, better, I'll just stop doing that and wait till it hurts again and then do it. So it's funny how we're opposite in that sense. All right, but what I really want to know is about your rap career. And just how you started it, and like if you have anything out there that we could like listen to.
Yeah, there is stuff out there.
Oh, let's go.
The funny thing is, like, I don't know, maybe like I try not to be like, I don't know if, and not that what you said is wrong. Like,
Yeah.
But I've almost feel like it wasn't really a career, so to speak. Like, basically, it all started in like my sophomore year of high school. Like, I've always been into hip hop. Like, my first favorite album was like "Get Rich or Die Trying" by 50 Cent, right? And that was back in like 2004, 2006, somewhere around there. I was just always into hip hop. Like, I'd wear baggy clothes, and I'd buy all the brands from rappers and whatnot.
Right.
And for some reason, like, I also feel like I have like this ear for like rhythm and melody. And I would like walk, like as a kid, I would walk around the house and I would like bang on the drywall and like make beats.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like I would like just for no reason, right? And I would also like beatbox a lot for some reason. Like I just love beatboxing. And like you could ask my wife. Like today, like I'm thinking and I'm just beatboxing. I don't even know it. Like I'm just making, and it's not like anything crazy, but it's just like a rhythm, kick a snare.
Right.
But anyway, in sophomore year of high school, I was like, my buddies had like a record label, quote unquote. It was called Get It Crackin' Entertainment, and one of my good friends at the time, he went by Chunky Town. His name is Michael Limbeck, and he was also a rapper, and he already had like 2 mixtapes or something out, and he had a fan base, a smaller fan base that he had growing. And I think at one point he might have, we talked about music a lot. He might have asked me, or I might have asked him, hey, can I be on a song or whatever? I ended up recording the song, and I remember like it was like all my friends are like, oh, this is great. Like we put it out on MySpace at the time or whatever, and like I just got all this positive feedback, and I was like, that it was kind of easy to me. Like I took time and I just wrote these lyrics down, and like it just worked for me. And so like I just started writing a lot, and I remember at that time like we used to go to church a lot as a family, and I'd be sitting in the pews, and they would hand me they would hand me a paper for like church, like this handout, this newsletter.
Yeah.
And I had a pen on me, and I just started writing raps in church.
Nice.
Like I was, and I feel kind of embarrassed to say that, but like that's how obsessed I was with it. Like I used to just write all the time, and like next thing you know, flash forward like a year, like I started recording, and I had like maybe like 6 or 8 songs, and I was like, man, this is almost enough songs to drop a mixtape, because at that time like mixtapes were hot.
Okay.
Like 2010, 2009, 2010, Lil Wayne, like everybody was dropping mixtapes. Mac Miller, like those are the kind of guys that I used to listen to at that time. Big Sean. And I was like, if I record another couple songs, like I could have my own mixtape. And so I did just that. and that was like my senior year when I decided to drop a mixtape.
Right.
And like looking back, that was probably like one of the best times in my life because like I had so much fun with my friends just hanging out, but also recording and like putting this mixtape together, which a lot of my friends are on the mixtape. And I had so much fun putting it together. And I also like took the release pretty like as serious as I could at 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And that's something I love talking about too. Like I used to like one of my styles was walking around with a backpack, and it might have confused some people at the time, but like literally I would have I can't even remember what laptop it was. It doesn't matter, but I would have a laptop in my backpack, and I would have blank CDs, and I would burn CDs on the spot if somebody was interested in my music or wanted to hear it.
Oh, that's
like, here,
cool.
check this out. Yeah, I'd burn a CD. But it was I remember like it was yesterday. It was the last day of school, and I decided to release my mixtape. Maybe like a week before that, I went to Walmart, and shout out to Lilia. I went to Walmart and I bought like 2 of those like big decks of blank CDs.
Yeah.
And I spent like 8 or 10 hours burning my mixtape on all those CDs. And then I went to my friends, like 4 of my closest friends, and I was like, I need your guys' help distributing these CDs around school. Last day of school. So I met up with them at the beginning of the day, like in the parking lot. And I gave each of them, there was only like 200, so I gave each of them like 25. And I only had like 25 myself. And I handed out all 25 before like whatever, like second period or something.
Dang, that's only a couple hours, man.
Yeah, exactly, a couple hours.
Yeah.
And it was kind of embarrassing because like there was so many people who I guess heard about it or were getting some from my friends, and then they were coming to me like, hey, I heard you have a mixtape, can I have one? I'm like, I don't even have my own mixtape to give out. Like I had already given them out.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wish I had more. But anyway, like that summer after that last day of high school, senior year, was like amazing because like my mixtape had reached like, it felt at the time it felt like it was super far. It was really like only a couple other schools like outside of the district.
Right.
But there were like people on MySpace and Facebook. MySpace at the time, Facebook reaching out to me and being like, hey, I heard your music. Like same thing you guys are talking about earlier. Like I heard your music, and I didn't even know who this person was. And the craziest thing, sorry, I feel like I'm talking like a million miles a minute.
Nah,
The craziest thing that happened to me, dude, like with my music was there was this guy. This was actually when I went to college, like a year after I'd released my mixtape, which I was still like heavily probably promoting it harder than I should have been at that time. I should have been working on new music, and that was one of my mistakes that I'll admit when it comes to music, because I was just like living off the high of the first mixtape that I didn't think about anything else going forward. But anyway, the craziest thing that happened to me was this somebody shared this tweet with me, and it was a tweet of this guy who actually got a tattoo of lyrics that I wrote to lyrics that a song that I wrote for my mom, which actually tends to be like one of people's, at least for my family, at least like their favorite song off the mixtape.
Okay.
I know it's Gabby's favorite song.
Yeah. So it was a song that it's called "Watch Your Sunrise," and I did it over an instrumental that Mac Miller used before. But anyway, I had wrote it. I think it was like right before Mother's Day. I didn't have anything to give my mom or something, and I wanted to give her something, and I also needed, at that time I was trying to build songs for my mixtape, and I was like, why don't I write my mom a song,
Right.
I was a huge fan of or I still am a huge fan of Ye and his music, but like he had this song at that time that I really loved called Hey Mama. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but it's a song. Yeah, it's a song to his mom, and like to me, it was super different because it's weird to hear rappers talking about their moms, right? Like who writes a rap song about their mom? And so like I just had that in the back of my mind, and I was like inspired by that, and I was like, I want to write a song for my mom too. And so like a couple days before Mother's Day, I wrote her that song, and then I went home And on Mother's Day, I brought her in the living room. We had like a little sound system set up in there, and I was like, "I have a present for you." And I pressed play, and I played her that song. She started crying.
That's
Like,
cool.
yeah, like I still get chills like sometimes listening to to my own song, just because I was so like I felt like I was being so real in that song. And that's another thing. Like I feel like I'm talking.
You're
Like,
good, man. This is a podcast. What you're here to do.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably like, this is the most I've ever heard you talk. Another thing
It
too
is.
is like, I figured if Gabby was here, that's what she would say too.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
You were talking about getting chills listening back to that song.
Yeah. So, in reference to like being real on that song about my mom, like that's another thing that I really appreciate or really respect about you guys doing this podcast and having these episodes is that like you guys are at the end of the day, you guys are putting yourself out there. Like you guys are talking about personal stories. You're talking about being a dad. You're talking about your feelings. You know, when you're at your spouse, dinners with your spouse and the coworkers, like things like that. Like a lot of times, these are feelings and thoughts and emotions that people don't see on a normal basis. And when they're tuning in, they're seeing this side of you that they probably wouldn't see if they didn't have this podcast or the internet, right? And so at the end of the day, you guys are being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's something that like as an 18-year-old rapper, like I wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. And I will admit that like as I've gotten older, interestingly enough, like for some reason, I've become more afraid to be as vulnerable as I was at that time. And so like that's the part where like I respect you guys keeping this going because it does require vulnerability.
Yeah, because if not, at one point you're just gonna talk about the same things over and over, and people like the people who are more vulnerable when they speak just on a podcast. I mean, I think earlier this year it was like spring, early summer, and I got scammed out of $400, and that was super hard for me because it was at a time where I had just found out I'm having a baby. I was like desperate for money, and out of that desperation, I was trying to sell. I had another camera, and I was trying to sell that with like all the gear that I had, and I sold it for $200. And whoever hit me up was like, "Hey, like, I want it. Here's my Venmo." So then I tried to Venmo, and then it said I needed to upgrade an account. So I did that, and I paid $200. And he's like, "Send me the money, and you'll get it back." So that's what I did. And then he was like, "Okay." He's like, "Your account's been upgraded. Now I need another $200 to be able to actually send it to you." And then that's when it clicked. Like there was red flags coming up the whole time, but I chose to ignore it just because I had my eyes set on getting the money, right? So then once that second time when he's like, "Okay, I need another $200," I was like, "Fuck." I was like, I just got scammed, man. And I never thought that would be me. I'm like, dude, people who get scammed are idiots. Well, look at me, dude, and that was rough. And like I pretty much hit up my bank like within 30 minutes, and then I filed like a complaint or like a thing to be able to try to get my money back. But because it was through Zelle, and it hits directly to their account, and it doesn't have like this like third party. It just goes straight from Zelle to their bank account. It didn't end up going through, and then that person ended up getting the money. So I had like a huge breakdown. Like I called him bawling. I was outside taking my dog to the restroom, and I called him, and I'm like, "Bro, I don't know what I'm doing myself." So that was tough, and we have a whole episode on it, and that was like really tough to share. And I didn't want to talk about it, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, if I want to have this podcast long term, I need to be able to talk about that kind of stuff, because one, I'm not the only one that happens to, and two, if somebody can see that beforehand, and it maybe helps one or two people not get scammed, and that's one or two people I saved from having to go through the horrors of getting scammed,
Yeah.
So that was a little rough for me.
Yeah, that's an excellent story because I totally agree with you. Like, yeah, you can be saving somebody in the future, and also like it is hard to say that you got scammed, right? Like,
Right.
For me, something similar happened to me where I got scammed, and I'm not gonna go into like the details of it, but it was like it was for a job.
Okay.
But like I totally know what you're saying, because like you have red flags that pop up, but like you want to believe that it's true, so you just keep going. You're like, I want to believe, I want to keep going, so you push, and like even though you kind of have that uncomfortable feeling, and it it just gets you at the end.
Yeah, I'm going through something like that right now where I'm trying to get different jobs, but I have this one, but it's one of those things that sounds really good, almost too good to be true.
Too good to be true, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, like I was in a similar situation when I left the Marines like 2.5 years ago, 3 years, and now it's coming up again with a similar type of company. I don't want to like bad name anything, but I'll tell you after if you really want. But it was and I still haven't hit the guy back up. I don't think I'm gonna take the job just because even if it is real and it's like actually a good opportunity, in my soul I feel like it's not the right move for me. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't have that comfortable feelings. I'm good. I'm not gonna take it. So
yeah, he had called me and told me about it because ever since the moment that he got scammed, he's been more weary about like getting second opinions about things. So
I found out by myself that really I can be very gullible and fall for cults. That's why I ended up joining the Marines. So yeah, I have people I call now. Like I call him, I tell my wife, and I call like other friends and be like, hey, I'm going through this. Does this sound fishy to you or is it good? And I have those people who check me, so it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice to have people to check up with you and like to just see if like you're doing good, because like you guys have said, like the podcasts, like we share our experiences, like goods and bads, and with the little people that watch, I just hope that like our experiences help them and also like teach them something that they can put towards their life, like in the future, like not getting scammed or just something that would help them in a good way. Yeah.
Hey, my mouth is really dry right now. I just realized I had my drink and like my tall drink right in front of you, so hopefully it wasn't blocking you.
Oh, you're all
moved
good.
it. But that brings me to something else. So I brought you guys something today to wet your whistle.
Wet our whistle.
All right, what whistle we talking about?
got a little clinging around. And
Snap.
I brought 4 of them today because I thought Gabby was gonna be here. Shout out to Gabriella.
It's okay. I'll take hers, man. It's all good.
But I got a couple different flavors, so you guys can pick one. And if you're kind of weird about it, or even if you try it and you don't like it, it's okay. I won't be offended if you don't drink it.
Okay.
Is it something you made?
No.
Or are these kombuchas? Okay.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, bro. I love
some,
kombucha. Yeah.
I was hoping I was being original. So I got a couple flavors. That's actually one of my favorite right there, lemon berry. And then I didn't know if somebody might be into mystic mango.
Synergy raw kombucha.
And then I got gingerberry. Yeah, shout out to Synergy. Not sponsored or anything.
Not sponsored.
Sponsor us. I love kombucha. I went through a kombucha kick a while back, and I had probably like 2 or 3 a week at one point for like months. Yeah.
It could be an expensive habit though, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like these things are probably like $3.50 a pop. Like
I'm saying.
Yeah, my wife and I usually like we don't really drink like soda that often. If we're gonna drink something like sweet and sugary, it'll be kombucha.
Oh.
And I think these only have like 20 grams, 16 grams of sugar, so it's not too bad.
Only 60 calories too. That's pretty nice.
Exactly, 60 calories.
So
And
what?
it's got probiotics in it too, which is something that's like the main reason I started drinking it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what got you into drinking these?
Probably my wife. So there's this one.
I'm gonna go ahead and pop this open. Is that
Go ahead,
cool?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Go ahead. Hopefully it's cold enough.
Oh, it feels really cold.
There's this one by Synergy. It has like little, I don't even remember what it is. It's got something like some small beads in it, and I thought that was really cool. But what got me into it, because it made me felt like I was, drinking something healthy at like the very first time I tried it. But what got me into it was the probiotics, because I actually have, for those of you who don't know, I was diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, maybe like 3 years ago. And so basically, like, I just have like a hard time digesting food. And so I was looking for things to help my stomach, my gut microbiome. And these are one of the things. My wife was drinking these, and I didn't even know what it was. These are one of the things that I tried. And I can't say that like, oh, I feel amazing after I drink it, but like it does feel like I'm doing something good for my stomach.
Have you noticed an improvement with IBS, any like flare ups or anything when you drink these?
Maybe not as much as I would hope
Okay.
in my mind, but I mean, maybe sometimes if I have a little bit of the placebo effect going on, like,
Right.
I think it's something good and healthy. So
Have you tried kimchi?
I have,
Yeah? Do you like that?
Kimchi's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Like, kind of, it's an acquired taste. The funny thing about kimchi is, like, I remember hearing that kimchi had probiotics and that it was good for you, and so I have a Costco membership. Shout out to Costco.
Shout out.
Costco,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We get all of
This
our
isn't
groceries
sponsored.
from-
Yeah. So anyway, I was at Costco and I saw kimchi there, and if you shop at Costco, you know that everything at Costco is like 5 times more than what you need.
Yeah.
And so I bought this like very large container of kimchi, and rest in peace. Like, it just like I didn't eat all of it, man.
You tried it and you're like, I don't even know about
Yeah,
this.
I was like, I might hold off on that one.
Yeah. I really like this stuff, to be honest. My wife and I, we go to farmers markets a lot in the summer, and we went to one in Avon this past summer, and there was this like a local kombucha brewery or whatever they're called. It's a Circle City Kombucha is their name, and it was pretty legit. I mean, I don't know what makes one better than the other besides flavor wise, but I really enjoyed it. They came in cans, not in glass, but I mean, it was good. I really enjoyed it, and I was really into it to where I looked into making my own kombucha. Yeah, doing it at home. I never actually did it just because I was nervous about like the fermentation process and like doing all of that, but
Rightfully so, yeah. Fermentation be a little iffy with that.
yeah.
You and Gaiden introduced Gabby and I to kombuchas, and I remember my first time trying one. It was absolutely disgusting. I like almost spit it out immediately.
Yeah, well, Gaiden told me the first time she had one, she went into Walmart and she was looking for something healthy. And she's like, "Oh, I heard about kombucha. I'll try it." And she said as soon as she walked out of Walmart, she opened it to try it, spit it back out, and threw it away immediately.
Yeah, I feel like it does take the right kombucha, because I know that I think I have tried kombuchas that aren't good. The thing is, like, Synergy, I feel like makes them pretty good. The lemon berry and actually the watermelon is my favorite. If you haven't tried
Oh, okay,
watermelon,
I have.
It's like, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
super sweet, like it's like candy kind of.
Yeah,
I'm into that sweet stuff, but
yeah.
Yeah, so this brand honestly is really good because I just tried the Mystic Mango, and if you guys haven't tried kombuchas, I probably recommend starting with the Synergy brand because I don't remember which one I had it the first time, but it was disgusting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a lot of people don't drink kombuchas because it's like known
It's
to
a
be
strong flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I tend to like the harder stuff. Like if it's just like a ginger kombucha, I'm like, give me that one. But I love sweet stuff. So, I mean, I have a sweet drink here and another one here.
right, something like the ginger would be harder. You're right.
Yeah.
The other thing too with kombuchas is, like, not to like beat a dead horse in kombuchas, but they also have so it's basically fermented tea, right? So at the end of the day, it's tea, but then it also has like a small amount of alcohol in it. So like my wife, she says sometimes when she drinks them, like she likes to drink them in the morning. But she's like, sometimes when I drink it on an empty stomach and I drink it too fast, she's like, I feel a little something.
Because of buzz.
Yeah. Like, I've never felt that, but
Yeah.
it's still kind of.
I didn't know they had a little bit of alcohol in them.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
tiny bit.
Yeah. I mean, when you ferment anything, you kind of like take out the alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend from work who tried to brew his own beer.
Oh, how did that work?
Yeah,
out?
he said it was ass. He
Yeah.
did not like it. He tried it and he said something about the equipment he was using and like everything he was trying to use it and like to like ferment it or whatever wasn't the cleanest like it was supposed to be, and he said that completely messed up the flavor and he dumped it out and he hasn't tried since. But
Making anything on your own from scratch like that can get like really dangerous in a way too.
yeah, my wife used to make sourdough. Yeah,
That was-
she
that
has
was
her
good,
own
though.
starter. Bro, I've been trying to get her to start again, but it just takes a lot of time.
It does.
Yeah.
My wife made bread too.
Oh, right on. Hell yeah.
She's got like the yeast in the corner.
Yeah, let's go.
But it's good, yeah, when it
Yeah,
comes out.
yeah.
There was a lot of failed batches though. And I remember one year she was like, for her New Year's resolution, she was like, I want to get better at baking bread. And I was like, that's so general. I was like, you gotta be specific. I was like, how are you gonna be better? Anyway, like, she does make bread too.
Nice. Heck yeah. My wife tends to be like the baker of the group. She's made all kinds of bread, and I I'm here. I know I have gained more weight than I should, but that's okay because I'm eating nice right now.
At least you're eating good. Yeah.
Eating good and getting some sleep.
Yeah. Oh, my baby starting to sleep more throughout the night.
Nice.
Yeah, last night she had a 5-hour stretch, and then she woke up. I fed her, and then she had like a 3-hour stretch before I got here. Which just 2 weeks ago she was only sleeping like hour and a half in 2-hour increments.
It's glorious, right?
Yeah,
When they start
I
sleeping.
feel so good.
How old is she right now?
She's a month and a half as of yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's good then, because like my son, he wasn't. I mean, he was probably doing like at most 2-hour stretches, 2.5-hour stretches. It's hard to remember, honestly.
Yeah.
But I remember at 6 months is when he started sleeping through the night.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's a game changer, man.
Yeah.
That's a super game changer. Yeah. Like in our house,
Shout
sleep
out.
is
Oh yeah, let's go.
in our house, shout out, yeah. I felt like I needed to pause. Like, sleep is pretty important. Like, we take sleep pretty seriously, and it was very important for us to get our son on a routine.
Right.
And right now, I would say he's been on a fairly good routine. Like ever since 6 months, he slept through the night. Like we'll put him down for bed at about 6 or 7, sometimes in between there, and he won't wake up till like 6:37. So he's almost out for 12 hours.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, he's not like dead asleep, like not moving at all. He'll move like a normal sleep cycles,
Right.
but still, it's just like I want him to get as much sleep as possible, because I want him to grow to be as best as he can be.
Right. Because
Whatever
at the
it
end
is,
of the day, the
his brain
sleep
and
is
body.
where it counts recovering and the
Exactly.
growing and all of that.
Yeah.
They go to sleep, and then when they wake up, they're bigger, and you're like, what happened?
Exactly. Yeah.
Your son is very smart too, because we were at Christmas and I think he had like a toy car that was red, and Gabby, shout out, had asked him what color the car was, and he's like red, and I'm like, holy cow, he already knows his colors, and he knows his ABCs too. Apparently.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. Like you don't even know. Well, I guess it's not like we don't say the ABCs or colors around him, but like it is crazy that he finally starts picking it up and starts saying them. And I think I heard you talking about like you can't wait till you can have I think you might have said like have a conversation, or they can talk to you,
Yeah.
or something along those lines.
Yes.
And I remember being in your shoes and
Oh, yeah.
saying the same things, like, man, I want him to like make conscious decisions. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait. And I do want to pause there, because like another thing that I end up saying a lot is like, I can't wait for this, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of things in life, but especially with my son. And I want to say that like when you say, or at least when I say I can't wait, like I don't mean like I want to gloss over everything else that's happening right now and
Right.
don't appreciate everything that's happening right now. Like you're just looking forward to that day when that happens.
Yes.
Like I totally appreciate my son being 2 years old right now and everything that comes with that. But like that day when I teach him how to drive, like I'm definitely looking forward
Oh,
to that.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
sure.
Like, so like I was just, it is amazing how much they pick up on. And yeah, I mean, he messes up every now and then, but yeah, he knows his colors and the ABCs. And for some reason, like we were just at my mom's house on Christmas, and he started singing Jingle Bells.
Nice.
And I was like, where did this kid learn Jingle Bells at?
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I recorded him and everything, because I was like, and my mom recorded him. I was like, how does he know this song?
Yeah.
And like he must have saw it on like a YouTube video that he watches. But yeah, and he does watch YouTube. He does have screen time. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I know that's
Some parents are super controversial
yeah,
about that.
yeah. I know there is controversy.
Yeah.
About that, but
I don't know. I mean, I've only been a dad for like a month and a half, but I think everybody obviously has a different way of parenting, and as long as it's working out for you and your family, that's the best parenting in my eyes. Because what you do with your son, and I mean, obviously I have a daughter, so it's a little different, but you're about to have a daughter here in January, but we're obviously not going to parent the same way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has different parenting styles, and it's based, I feel like, tailored around to the family and to that child's personality. you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with
And
that.
that kind of leads into some of the questions we got for you, which this is actually the first time we've ever had this many questions.
Yeah.
So
shout out to everyone.
shout out to everyone.
Shout out to the questions.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
we don't get to all of them, I'm sorry. We usually always get all of them, but this is literally a lot of questions.
My guess
If we
is-
don't get to all of them, we can do a
Short.
just answer them real fast and then throw it up on YouTube or make it like a short reel out of it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Actually. So because of that, now I'm not going to go through all of them on purpose.
So you want to see all of them? Check out our Instagram and YouTube.
Yep, check it out.
But this one is from Monica, and kind of correlating to what we were talking about. It's any fears becoming a girl dad.
Shout out to Monica. That's my sister. At least I think that Monica. Right now. Definitely not. So like, you know, when I hear the term girl dad, I think, you know, I can't help but think of Kobe Bryant, like Black Mama, rest in peace. Like one of my favorite basketball players ever, all time. Anyway, no, I don't think there's any fear because, like, interestingly enough, like before I had my son, I actually wanted a girl.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like, so you're used to hearing like guys want boys, right?
Right.
But I wanted a girl, and I think there's like a lot that might go into that. Some of which I don't want to get into that much psychologically, but like I think for me, like I kind of almost maybe didn't realize that I had a fear of raising a boy. And so maybe I kind of preferred having a girl for that reason. Also, like at the end of the day, like I think I just wanted to have a baby girl to have like a princess. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I want to have a baby girl to, I don't know, just have a princess.
Right.
But no, I don't think so. Like I'm pretty excited, and I was actually, you know, I'm looking forward to having a girl, and I'm also looking forward to the fact that after the girl will be, you know, a complete like family of four, and each, you know, however the team's girl and boy, it would be equal. Like I keep telling my wife, like, you know, now that we have a boy and a girl, we'll be done. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you say that now, but who knows later, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because on my end, it's the same where me and my wife were like, well, maybe just this one that we have, and that's it. But we're looking at max 2, but not until the next 4 or 5 years, because she's going to go to school to be a dentist. So we kind of want to wait until after she graduates. But who knows, maybe it'll happen before, or we'll be like, you know what, let's have more. But she said supposedly that we're going to be an all-girl family, which I'm fine with. Yeah, I'm fine with, but we'll see what happens.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say that like I can't remember exactly how they say it, but they say that like something like you forget how hard it was to have the child and raise the child like in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Or there's enough time between your first and second that you forget all the hard stuff and you want another one.
Well, I mean, earlier you said that you forgot the stretches of him sleeping. So already there's already an example of you being like, I don't really remember. You know, like it was tough, but it didn't sound like you were like, dude, that was terrible. You know, it sounds like you can do it all over again.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Like you, like right now, you being in it, you have it down to the minute. You're like,
Yeah,
20
exactly.
more minutes.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I guess eventually it does kind of fade away. Like you kind of do just forget about it.
Yeah, and that's biological. You know, because if not, I mean, we'd only all have one kid and call it quits. You know.
Exactly.
It's crazy to think about because we're here like planning like our lives with just 2 kids, and we in a way have more than what our parents did. And our parents, like, well, specifically our parents, just popped out like 5 kids like in a row. Like I can't imagine
back
how
to
they
back.
did it.
Yeah.
That's so true. I feel like I should have said this earlier, but shout out to my wife, Jen. I love you.
Shout out, Jen.
Shout out.
Speaking of Jen, she's got a couple questions.
I figured, yeah, she told me she was asking questions. Like, what'd you ask her? Did you get my question?
I did. You want to
Oh, you
start
put a
with
question
that
for
one?
yourself?
Yeah, you can go through. You can go through hers.
Okay.
What are my thoughts on this?
I don't know which one I want to pick first.
You should go with the first one you see.
Okay. Well, it's not really a question. It's just like a flat out, like, what are like career goals? Yeah.
Oh wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a great question. So like, I think for me, it was my junior year of college, maybe between like my sophomore and junior, when I changed majors. I originally started as an engineering major, and actually the only reason why I even picked engineering is because I always loved taking things apart and putting them back together.
Okay.
Like I've always loved tinkering with things. Like I've always loved like cutting wires and splicing things and like just working with my hands. Um, and also I had a scholarship. And
For
my
engineering?
no, so it was actually 21st Century Scholar.
nice.
Shout out to Indiana. They actually gave me a full ride. Very blessed for that. But like, with that being said, at that time I was super into music.
Yeah.
So it was like my senior year, and my dad was like, "You're not going to college for music." He's like, "You gotta pick something real, right?"
Right.
And so I was like, "Well, I guess I'll just do engineering." But my heart was never in it, and so that obviously, came about. It floated up, and by the end of my sophomore year, like I was, failing classes, like I was almost losing my scholarship. I was probably, spending nights out that I shouldn't have, things like that. And I was like, I got to do something else. Like, and at that time, it was actually, I feel like I'm getting into a big tangent, but I was actually, I got really sick. I remember it was like right before Christmas. I had like an abscess in my mouth, and it started in my throat. And it started closing up, and I had to go to the emergency room on New Year's. Like, it was a crazy, like, I was just in this health situation that I didn't want to be in.
Right.
And so, like, my outlook after that was like, I want to be as healthy as I can, and I want to do everything I can to prevent anything from happening. And I know that's not possible, but still, I was like, I was gonna do whatever, and that started with the gym. So I started spending a lot of time in the gym. I started working out. Like I started getting really into workout. I started watching people on YouTube working out. Like I was watching people on YouTube working out while I was working out. Like,
nice.
I mean, like so at that time I was like, I need something to study. I really like going to the gym. Like I think I'm gonna try kinesiology. And so that was what led me into kinesiology. I really loved that. I was gonna do physical therapy, but then I finished my bachelor's, and I was like, I really don't want to go back to school. So then I went into cardiac rehab, and actually the same thing Gabby does.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, like I have done this whole route of exercise science. Like I think I've gone about as far as it's gonna take me. What am I gonna do next?
Right.
And so I had this patient. I can't say his name for obvious reasons. Shout out to this patient. But I had this patient that I used to work with, and he was like, he asked me the same thing. He was like, "What are you gonna do, in the next 5 years? Like, what's your career outlook, And I was like, I'm not really sure. And he was like, well, I think you can do big things. Like I've seen some of the, your attitude and some of the stuff you do.
Yeah.
He was like, I have somebody you should talk to. And I was like, well, it's kind of weird. Like nobody really has ever taken the time to, I felt like, invest in me, like tell me that, this is something that you should pursue.
Right.
And so it ended up being a career counselor. And I went to this career counselor. I did this test. It was like the Myers-Briggs test, personality test. And she asked me a bunch of stuff about what I do and this and that. And long story short, the results were your personality is IT. So like I'm very I think it's like conventional and realistic in relation to the Myers-Briggs, and I'm not very like people social kind of deal.
Okay.
So like my personality is more geared towards anything related to information technology. And so ever since then, that was probably like 3-4 years ago. Ever since then, I'm like, I want to do something in IT. And so flash forward to today, I'm working with Elevance Health, and they have tuition reimbursement. And so I'm like super comfortable where I'm at. Like I love this job. I love the flexibility. I think it's the perfect spot in my life because I'm at home with my family where I need to be.
Right.
We're having, another baby soon, so I got to be at home. I got to be around. And I'm also taking advantage of this tuition reimbursement. And right now I'm actually going back to school to be for information technology, specifically cybersecurity.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I want to get into the cybersecurity realm. I've always been about privacy and security, and I love IT, computers, and I kind of want to mesh those two and get into that. So that I think, long story short, like about my career outlook, I think 3 to 5 years from now, I'll be somewhere in IT.
Okay. So does all IT have some kind of coding with it, or is that just one specific part of IT? Because I don't obviously like I don't like my brain isn't really geared towards that. Like it's cool, and I like I have a friend that's going to like UI UX kind of stuff, like user interface design. He's like learning all this coding stuff. So does some of that transfer over to IT?
Like, yes and no. I think there are large parts of IT that does have coding in it, but there are a decent amount of jobs in IT that don't have any coding.
So IT is pretty much just like the umbrella term.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of little things that go into it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Like one of the more common, like one of the lower tier, and no disrespect to anybody who does this, but like one of the lower tier positions in IT is probably like help desk, right?
Right. Yeah. Because that's my only experience working with any kind of IT is help desk. Because I mean, even in the Marines, like you have your IT Marines. They're the ones that know all the cyber stuff. And yeah, you're right. A lot of them were lower ranking, and when you had a problem with your computer and you couldn't figure something out, you'd hit them up and you see a little Lance Corporal fucking run over, coming to help you out. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and like the thing is like with and I'm not saying I'm an expert at help desk, but like a lot of things with help desk too is like kind of troubleshooting and getting people through the issues, right? And a lot of times the people on the help desk side really just have this checklist of things that they're asking you to do.
Okay.
Like if you've ever had some instance where you've dealt personally with help desk, like maybe at IEPY or something. Like one of the first things they'll say is like, "Have you restarted your computer?"
Yeah.
Right? Because like that's just like the first thing on the checklist. And like some of the things you're like, "Oh, why is this person asking me?" Like, yes, of course I did this, but it's just
Right.
like those are the lists that they have to go through.
Right.
That's exciting. I didn't know you were going back to school for that.
Yeah, it's definitely and I'm still learning myself. Like I'll be honest, I'm still learning myself, but it's definitely gonna be a slow process. Because right now I'm taking, well, I just finished up one class. It was 3 credit hours. So I'm taking like 3 credit hour classes over the course of, I think, at Ivy Tech. And Ivy Tech does like 8-week advanced or 8-week classes. So they're like super quick, but it is going to take me a while because I'm trying to do it slow enough where I don't have to pay too much money out of pocket.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then also, like, if you were to take on more classes, it would kind of like affect your personal life too, with like your family.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like I actually still haven't registered. I'm still debating. I still haven't registered for classes that are coming up this I guess it'd be spring, right?
Yeah.
Because my daughter's going to be here, so like I think I might be able to handle a class with her, but do I want to be more present? Like, you know what I mean? Like those are the things I'm balancing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming that can be rough, but I mean, by the sounds of it, you have a nice job that allows you to be flexible like that.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I feel like a lot of people look for something like that.
Yeah, and more respect to you for also going to school and having your baby that you're taking care of.
Yeah, thanks. It's rough. I'm definitely looking for something stay at home ish, where I can do stuff at home or at least closer to where I live. But I feel like that's with time. Because that's one of the reasons I left the Marine Corps is because I wanted, if I did have a baby, it was going to be within 4 years of another contract. And I didn't want to get deployed and miss out on the whole 9 months, 6 months of my baby's life. You know what I mean? So
that kind of ties into the next question too regarding classes. Jen had asked this. She said, "Ask him about his most recent professor who was a weirdo."
Oh, man. Shout out to my professor. I was gonna say I don't remember his name, but I do. But I'm not gonna say it
because I just called him a weirdo.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to think. I really don't have much to say about him. There was like one situation where I'm trying to even remember the situation. It went by so fast. He was like, "Oh, we had like a group assignment, And with the group assignment, it's like completely online, right? So we're just all messaging back and forth. And I mean, most of it was just us, but then there was that instance where there was a week where we had a group assignment.
Okay.
And so we're required to message our group members, and the instructor says, do it at the beginning of the class, or do it at the beginning of the week, rather. And so I did that, and nobody responds. Our stuff is due on Sunday. People don't respond till Saturday. I end up submitting like Sunday, like at 5 p.m. I'm trying to cook dinner, wash my kid, things like that, and I'm trying to submit this dumb assignment because people are behind, right? And then like flash forward to like that next Monday, the instructor posts an announcement, and he's like, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, but you know I'm usually not this much of a what's the right word, like hard, you know, like a hard ass. Like he's like, this was kind of just like a test. Like a lot of employers are coming back saying that Ivy Tech students aren't good at working in groups. And he was like, so basically my goal was to not be transparent with the instructions and let you guys figure it out and this and that. But yeah, at the end of the day, he was just like, he didn't communicate what he wanted. And then like he posted like this 10-minute video of like him filming himself, like talking about why he did it. And he like literally repeated everything like 20 times. And this guy has like, he's also an instructor, an IT instructor. So like he has like a ponytail and like things like that. So I was just like, I'm glad the class is over.
Yeah.
It was one of those really vague assignments where you're like, I don't really know what's going on. He probably didn't get back to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sparks a question for me. So, you being older, you know, going to college, do you find it frustrating working if you do have to work with groups like that with like 18, 19, 20-year-olds that maybe aren't as they don't know how to do time management as well as you do?
That
You know what I mean? Because right now you just said, you messaged them on Monday, they didn't get back to you till Saturday.
Yeah.
I know I would be really upset. You know, I'd be messaging the professor, be like, "Yo, I had messaged them, nothing back."
Yeah, that's
know?
what I did too. And the instructor was like,
Yeah.
"Well, just do your part," and I'm like, "Okay." But yeah, I think the answer is yes, man. Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't even really think about it. Like in my head, I'm just like, I'm going back to school. I'm gonna do this, and then I have these classmates. Well, I don't really think about the classmates and all the messages from the instructor. He talks to us like we're younger kids too.
Yeah.
So then I'm like putting it together. I'm like, oh yeah, like these individuals are a little bit younger.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is frustrating. It is a little frustrating.
Yeah, because you're going back, like dedicated, like I'm doing this, and you're actually putting in the effort to do that. Versus somebody straight out of high school who necessarily wouldn't. I mean, you just said yourself a little bit ago, you went to Ivy Tech up to your sophomore year, you were like, I was kind of doing whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was the same way, exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say it's normal too, right?
Yeah.
I would have hated working with myself back then. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny how that cycle just keeps on going, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, because I mean, just me, I'm not that much older than people there. They're all 18. I'm 26, so what? That's like 4 years. That's not terribly a big age difference, but I can tell. Maybe it's because I have a kid too, but I don't know. But
That will make you feel old.
yeah, but just like in group projects that I've done, luckily I've had good groups, but the last group project that I did, it was like 2.5 months long. And we honestly didn't really do anything until like 2 weeks prior to the assignment due. We ended up getting the best grade in the class, but I hate it when that happens because then it makes the younger people think, oh, I can just blow it off and I'll do really good at the end anyway. Yeah. Versus I'm like, bro, I was stressing that it wasn't getting done in time, you know, but it is what it is.
I'm almost okay with those scenarios as long as the professor provides like a sheet at the end that tells like for you to put in who did their part.
You can
like
put them all on blast at the end.
Yeah. Well, as long as like you did your part, like as long as I'm getting 100%, I don't really care what everybody else is doing. Like even if like maybe the project maybe if it's a presentation, I might change my opinion on that. Because if I'm up there like doing the whole presentation and they're just kind of standing on the side reading the slides, that's not the best. But if it's like a handwritten paper where we had to for example, one class was a business plan that we had to do. And a lot of people chose to do groups. I chose to do it by myself, which honestly, don't do that. Really bad decision. Don't do that. But the reason I chose to do it by myself was because I didn't really want to work with anybody or rely on anybody else. Because, like Pablo said, I mean, I'm younger than you guys, but I like time management, and I know for a fact that like if something's due on Sunday, they're not getting back to me till like Saturday at 8, and I'm usually doing something then, or like maybe even asleep. So it's nice to have that sheet of paper that just shows that like I contributed this. This person might not have done the same or anything at all, and it keeps my grade different from theirs. Yeah. But let's do 2 more questions because there's like 6. This one's from Gabby. Do you miss Lafayette or California more?
That's a hard one, man. Shout out to California. Shout out to Murderville. Shout out to Yuba City. Like, I think that one's hard because I think the short answer is I miss Lafayette more. But I love California. But, like, the thing that I love about California is the people there, right? Like, I don't really miss the state of California or the city that I come from. Like, I miss my family there. Like, I wish I could see my family that's there. And the other thing too, like, you were telling me that you were born in California and there was, it's very short.
Right.
So like, I think it was like when I turned 26, I had realized that I moved to Indiana when I was 13. So I was like, okay, I've officially spent more of my life in Indiana than I have California.
Okay.
So I was 13. I was like in 6th grade or something when I moved here. Like, I had friends and everything, like some of which, I still follow on Instagram and talk to them every now and then and stuff like that. But I think I miss Lafayette more. I think I miss, probably for the same reason, more so my family and the people there. But I do kind of just miss being around in Lafayette. Like, sometimes it's like nostalgic just being in certain places.
Yeah.
Like, also, with my music, like there's I have one music video, and in this music video, like I'm shooting it in Lafayette. So like sometimes when I think about that spot, like I'm just like, oh, that's nostalgic, what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I can relate to the nostalgia because, I mean, I've been away from Lafayette for almost 5 years now. And every time I go back, I don't know what it is, but like it feels like a breath of like fresh air. And like going to my parents' house, it's just all nostalgia. And it's nice to go back there, but I find it hard seeing myself living in Lafayette again. Like if we do end up going back, Gabby and I talked about moving to like West Lafayette, like maybe like the nicer part, but I like it here, and I like the privacy that we have, because I know if we were in Lafayette, we'd be seeing family a little more often. It would be nice, but it's nice to know that like not everybody can just stop by like whenever they want, like unannounced. I'm not saying that like I don't hate any of my family members. I just prefer people to not show up like unannounced and things like that.
Yeah.
So you can at least have clothes on when they come
Exactly.
here, Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. I don't know. I feel like for me, obviously, like I lived the longest part of my life in Lafayette. I think I miss North Carolina a lot because I lived there for a year and a half, and that was like the first year and a half of my marriage, and we moved there, and that was like me finishing up my contract with the Marines. And I had one cousin who was also in the Marines that we just happened to be stationed in the same place, which was nice to have somebody that I knew there. And I just feel like I established a lot of like memories there, going there. So I feel most like I miss North Carolina. But whenever I do go back to Lafayette, I always get hit with the wave of like almost like I travel back to the past. Yeah.
I feel that. Okay, last question. This is also from Jen. Shout out Jen again. Thank you for all the questions. It is why he hates travel. He will probably have a lot to say. Ha ha. So traveling, like, do you hate it? Like, do you hate flying? Do you hate driving, or do you just hate it in general?
All of it.
All of it.
Like just like vacation, or just literally just traveling?
Probably vacation too, man.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, vacation. So like, I think like at the end of the day, like I'm just a hermit crab or hermit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather be at home. Like that's the core of it. Like I just prefer being at home. I prefer being in my own element. I prefer being in my own routines. I prefer sleeping in my own bed. Like I prefer doing all it. Like I have, wind down routines and, teeth care routines. And I'm just like, I prefer sticking to all those things. And anytime that you travel, or eating routines, every time that you travel, like you're always throwing a wrench in those routines. And
Right.
if you're a person who gets a lot of energy off completing your habits or your routines, then you start to lose energy. And I think that's like the same thing that when it comes to like extroverted people. And I know there's like not everybody's like only extrovert or only introvert, but like me, I get my energy off being in my own environment. Some other people get energy off being around other people, being around family, being around pets, whatever it is. Like,
Right.
but I lose my energy when I get out of my environment, or when I'm with a bunch of people and stuff like that. So I just don't like traveling, and especially airplanes. Like airplanes are the worst. Like, and I'm talking like before COVID. Like when you get on an airplane, there's just an icky feeling to it. Like,
Yes.
whether it's sitting in the seat that you don't know if the stewardess, who doesn't really care about his or her job, wiped it down, or rebreathing the recycled air, or just sitting in the airport chairs that all the millions of people stepped in, like people from all over the country. Like, it's just a gross environment. Like, I hate it. And then there's nothing better. Although I hate traveling, there's nothing better than that post-travel shower. Like, because you feel like you're just cleaning off all that gunk.
Yeah. How do you feel about travel?
I can relate to what you said about like throwing off your routine and everything, because I like traveling as far as vacations go. I don't really like traveling like to Lafayette that much, just because it throws off the routine. We end up spending that at my parents' or at Gabby's grandpa's house, and it's just like we're sleeping in somebody else's bed. I always tell Gabby, if there's a possibility for us to go home, I'd rather just go home and sleep in our bed.
Yeah.
But as far as like vacations go, I like vacations just as long as they're not too long. Like, I say a good vacation is like maybe like a week and a half, maybe cutting to 2 weeks, but just enough to like get that vacation high. And then as soon as that high is like going away, you're already like on the way home. Yeah.
Makes sense. I am completely different from you guys. I love to travel. Yeah. I like to have a routine, but I'm okay with throwing off the routine and like kind of adjusting it. Yeah. So like my wife's really into like dental care, and but she got this thing that's like, it looks like a little mini briefcase, and you open it up and it just like unfolds, and it's just a bunch of like skincare routines, like mini toothbrush or toothpaste, toothbrushes, floss, hair or shampoo, conditioner, like everything you need for like shower purposes and just like self-care stuff. But I actually love airplanes. Yeah.
Why?
I like to sit.
Yeah, what do you like about it?
I don't know, man, because I lived in Japan for 2 years, right? And for international flights, we had to show up, I think, like 4 hours before your flight went, and I would show up 6 hours before just to chill in the airplane seats.
Caesar's over here like, dude.
Yeah. I would chill, just pop in my headphones, watch a YouTube video. I'd get up and stretch, kind of like do a little bit of jumping jacks and some push-ups.
For your sleeping bag and everything too.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think because I was forced to travel a lot, just by getting orders to go here, there, go to schooling and for the Marines and all that. But I think because I was forced to travel, I was like, okay, I can either hate it, and every single time I travel, I'm like bugging about it, or I can learn to be okay and love it. So I went that route. And I love sitting in an airplane for like 12, 13 hours, having nothing else to do besides sit there and travel to the next spot. Yeah, that's weird. I like long drives. I used to, when I got out of the military, I drove Uber for a little bit, and when I was in between jobs. And the money sucked, but I love driving. I don't know, something about it, just relaxing. It's almost like meditation for me.
It's funny because you said you love driving. Like, growing up, he was always like the designated like person.
Oh
that
yeah,
drove
in our
around.
friend group. Yeah. I'd be dropping off people like all the way to Vinton, where we had friends, and I'd come back over to pick up somebody else who lived like on the other side close to McCutcheon, and just like back and forth all the time. I don't know.
You know what's weird? Like one thing you're talking about back and forth in Lafayette, and like one thing that's weird about like me and Lafayette is like when I go back, I hate trying to get through Lafayette because ever since I started driving in high school, like I've always felt like there's, and this is kind of dumb, but I've always felt like there's like too many ways to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Like there's like two, and like I would like me and my buddies would be in my car, and my friend and his buddies would be in the other car. We'd be like, okay, we're going to this spot, let's meet up. And my buddy would beat me there, and I'm like, he's like, oh, I just took this way, and I'm like, there's always a better way than the way I took, and it always pisses me off.
There was a different shortcut to go to the same place.
It's funny because like my dad does that a lot, and whenever like he would drive here to Indy, he's like, I know my way, and we have the GPS on just in case. And he's like, oh no, I gotta take this turn, it'll be faster. GPS adds like 10 minutes. I'm just like, Dad, we're gonna be there 10 minutes later. He's like, what? Why? This is supposed to be faster.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I used to work Chick-fil-A, and I would do open and closes a lot. My transition from junior year to senior year in high school, and I love nothing more than every night taking a different way home. Yeah,
that gives me anxiety.
Yeah, for real.
Wait, did you really do that?
Yeah, I would take a different way home every time.
What the heck?
Yeah, even if it was like the same way, but instead of taking one street, I would use another street to go onto the same route, but it's a different way home because it's that one street is in addition to the route.
So at that point, you were just completing the Lafayette map.
Yeah. I was trying to 100% the map. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, man, it was fun, but it's so weird how like we're all like people, but we all have different ways of doing things. Yeah. You hate travel, you're like meh, and I'm like I love it.
I think that's important too. Like even it's like whatever your friend group is or the people that you put yourself around, like to have those people that are different. Like one of my good friends, like I like having him around because he gives me a hard time. And like sometimes I'll admit, like sometimes I take myself too seriously.
Okay.
And like I feel like I need a check, a reminder. You know what I mean? So it's like you would think that I wouldn't like being around somebody who takes me out of that comfort zone. But
right.
Like, you need that person. You need people who are different than you to be around you.
Yeah, because you're not gonna be in your own bubble, you know, and nothing good comes from that.
Yeah, and you definitely need the friends that will like give it to you straight.
Yeah.
Last thing you want is like a bunch of last thing you want is a bunch of people like just yes men around you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I've got a friend that like all the time he just gives it to me straight and like tells me that, hey, like that's stupid, like why are you doing that? Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm doing it because of this, and then I do the same with him. So it's nice to have those relationships with different people too.
Yeah. It makes you think about the things you're doing. Like, well, maybe this isn't the best way. And even if your way is, and that person is just doing it to be mean or whatever, like. I think it's still healthy to have that second thought. Like, I feel like I do that a lot, like, in general, just having maybe more thoughts than I should, but having that second thought about something. Is this the best way to be doing this? Is this the most efficient way to, whatever it is, like. Yeah,
and as long as you can, like, self-reflect and improve, and you're like, well, last week I thought this was better, but now through a conversation with somebody, I realized that I was faulted in that way of thinking, and you change it. I think that's cool because then you're growing. You're like, oh, yeah, I was dumb. Back then, I used to think whatever, and now I'm like, yeah, I saw the other side. Or you can be like, you know what? This solidified the fact that this one thing that I believe is really what I believe, and then you just continue about your day. I like that.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, with that said, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to have you back on.
Yes.
Whenever you're free. I know you're a busy man. You will be a busy man. Even more.
Yeah, next month.
Yeah. This is the most I've ever seen you talk. It's nice to like get to know you and like who you are as a person because we see each other at family events. We say hi to each other and everything, but it's nice to get to know you in a personal level.
Yeah, definitely. And if I'm not, even if I'm not back on the podcast, which I will be if you guys let me be on, but just hanging out more in general. We can talk about that more after the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man, you give off really good energy, and I like that. I mean, it's my first time meeting you, so I don't know your quiet side, so to say. That's just a myth to me.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. But so thank you guys for tuning in for this episode. If you made it this far, please comment down if you like to travel or not. You know what I mean? I love it. Everyone has a different experience, but let us know. And while you're there, please like, subscribe, and hit up our other social media. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.